Okay, now let's get into class. From today, we are going to study Bible. Bible. The Bible is often used for the biblical strategy. And the Bible is for the context of the life. And also use the Bible as any subject as excellent book that is so called the Bible. Then here, the Bible and very religiously we have to make it focus on. And here, at first, this is very beginning. So here is the very basic words before we study the Bible here. And usually Japanese people have these two words that people has always this one. And this is the prophet the Christians use. He is a prophet. And this is a prediction. And prediction says something will happen in the future. Nothing else, nothing to do with the God. And the prophet seems very similar because he also said something happen in the future. But the big difference the prophet is that word is not from his own, that is from God. So the prophet knows the God's word. Then that is a prophet. Then how the prophets know the God's idea is like this. All the things are created. The God created all the things. Then in the things, the people are actually different from all the things. Then things and God is only the order, no communication, just one order, one direction, and this is the mission. However, the people have the prayer and communicate with God. All the Christians can do this, including me, of course. Then, especially the prophet is the higher position and easier to receive the God's word that is the prophet. Then God sometimes gives the people some prophets, especially the Old Testament age. Bible itself is composed of 66 books, not one book. That is all together. Then Old Testament and New Testament. Old Testament has the 39 books. New Testament has 27 books. Usually Old Testament is really huge and New Testament is very thin. Every hotel in Japan has the New Testament and every room that is given by the detail. Then that is the Bible altogether. Then Old Testament is used before Christ written. Then New Testament is AD Anno Domini after the time. Then Old Testament, the aim is to express Jesus will come. Then New Testament is about what Jesus did. These are the including Jesus Christ. And this course, BSc course, we start end of the Old Testament, then a beginning of the New Testament. This area we're going to talk about. This is often I want you to understand as a Japanese people to know how Christians think. Then here's another word. Here's the P for the capital H. Capital H, even within the sentence, that is capital. Not given just the same word. Because this is another, other than just a pronoun. This is is his own name as it is. Then here's a God, capital G is the God because God is his name. So this is capital G because this is his name. Then I would say the small g or a God accountable, that is not the God in the Bible. That is often discussed in the Christian or other religions have many gods countable. That is the normal noun. Then this is the proper noun. So it's different. Then other words very important is sin and the crime. Maybe you should know the sin and crime. Crime is the bad things against the law, whatever the law is. Then sin is the bad things that's against the God's law. So this is against the government law. This is against God's law. So these are the big difference. Very often in the Old Testament, many prophets, uh, haven't ever any sin, but do many crimes. So that is often discussable. However, in the Bible, there's always sin or come. So you should understand what the sin is. And one more information about religion is this. Christianity is not almighty. It's not almighty. This Christianity is the largest religion. Only the largest religion, not all. Only the largest. That is because this word monk, then you can see usually the colder or mild kind of place is often focused on the Christianity. And how about here? This is very warm place. Warm place is good for the Buddhist, mainly the Buddhism or Hinduism. These are. This dot exception is a Korea. This blank place is very hard to live in, especially in desert or the very hot climate. In that case, the Muslims make their religions, their government. That is the open the maps and the climate and regions are distributed. Then the Christian people think all the world should be Christian. But in reality, that is never. Especially this hot place, very difficult because the Bible story mainly about this Europe area. The story about Europe area and maybe easier to understand in America because the climate is similar. And of the here, Australia or South America. It's easier to understand. However, these hot place people have very difficulty to understand this Europe area. Very easy we can see this in the Okinawa and Hokkaido. Hokkaido people have difficulty to understand the Okinawa people. And Okinawa people have difficulty to understand the Hokkaido people. This and the Christianity is like Hokkaido, then and just Muslims to Okinawa. Then in Japan, Tokyo and Osaka has many Christian people. However, and Sapporo have many Christian people. Because time the same, exactly the same. So these are very easier to understand. And Korea, very similar to the Europe. This is the climate and region situation here. So, if we read the Quran, this kind of the book of Muslims, very difficult to understand because that is the story about the desert. So, we have no desert here. So, this is difficulty to understand. However, in the Bible, and Christian people think that this all the New Testament have all the world and all people should believe. That is Christianity thinking. Okay? Now, let's go on to the Bible. Maybe you haven't read the Isaiah, this Old Testament, the last book, that Isaiah. And I put the Japanese on the back here. So you can review this in the Japanese too. However, this might be very difficult to understand, even if you are very good at English language, the grammar, and the words. So, this is a new international version. This means very easy English. And the Bible you read, for example, the King James Version or New International Version. Yes, this is NIV. Then NIV is good to understand, easier English for us. And the King James Version is very old English. And so even we the native people cannot read easily. All the elders can read easily. So the New International Version is good. Now these are the only 12 verses. 12 verses. Let's take a look at these 12 verses. Verse 1. Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us him, nothing in the appearance that should desire him. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man suffering and familiar with the pain. Like from the form people hide their faces, he was despised and we held him in the low esteem. Okay, stop. In this case, you should guess that should be Jesus Christ. Okay, let's go on. Number 4. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we consider him punishment by God, stricken by him and afflicted. Number 5. But he pierced for our transgression. He was Christ in our iniquity. Then the punishment that brought us to peace was on him, and by his wounds were healed. This means that. 4. Then 6. Then we all like sheep have gone astray, and each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him his iniquity with us all.
He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was lay like a lamb and slaughtered, as asleep before the chairs of silence. So he did not open his mouth. 8. My oppression and judgment was taken away, yet was his generation protested. For he was the king of the land of living. Then the transaction of the people was perished. 9. He was signed gave us wicked, and with wit and his death thought he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. 10. Yet it was the Lord's will, this is the point, Lord's will, to crush him and cause him to suffer. Then so the Lord makes the offering for sin. Everything is offspring and prolonged his days. Then all the world will prosper in his hand. 11. After he was suffered, he would see the light of the life. Then satisfied it. By the knowledge, my righteous servant will justify me, and he will bear no iniquity. Then, therefore, we will give him a portion of among the great. Then he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured his life unto death. Then numbered the transgressors, and before that he bore the sin of men, and made intercession for the transgressors. Okay, this is all the prophets for Jesus Christ will come, and even the people have sinned, then all are rescued by his albeit and the whole one. So let's get into the textbook today. The end of this class, you should answer the question, these four questions. Let me check the four questions at first. What do you think God should do his people since they keep sinning? 2. What do you think that God should do when you sin? 3. What is something God can do when you can do it? Then what's the time when you suffer and do the matter feel? The other question. Today's topic is chapter 53. I wrote the 23 annual pencil and every book. The top of the textbook you see, God will take punishment for his sins of all his people. Let's see it. Good one. The most important is who have sinned and who God's punishment. Usually, the person who has sinned should be punished. Okay? Usually, the sinner should be punished. But in this case, God will take the punishment. God has sinned? No. That is the reason for the sins of all his people. His people means a human being. We are the kind. So, even if the sins of ours, the punishment will be God. That's a kind of miracle. That is the way God's love works. So this is not our normal thinking. That is God's thought. Okay.
Now, let's take a look at the section number one. If you were God, what would you do? Yeah? Maybe often did in Japan, if you are almighty, what you do, maybe got the rich or popular or singers or the flyers, sort of thing. However, this is not a story about that. If you are God, here means that what if the people disobey? Usually, the master and the servant. Servants should obey their master. And in this case, God is the master and servants should be people. However, people disobey. In that case, you Almighty God and what would you do? Give up the people or come to the people to show how great you are. Because I am very great God, so you should obey me. Or to suffer. So, in the Bible, the God chose the answer. That's one. Do not oppress anything to the people. Do not force people to do something. Do not make the people in any situation other than they want, just as they are, and instead God will suffer. This is section one. Then, next one, section two is the prophet Isaiah. I told you in the Old Testament there are many prophets here. In New Testament, not so many prophets, but with Jesus Christ. And in Isaiah, we can see this reading. Let's take a look at the second paragraph on the page 138. That all sounds like possible, and with someone probably that God's people were expecting. Isaiah told them God would come to earth, but Isaiah wasn't done telling them what happened or when it will come. So, here is the important information of what God will do when the God will come. There's no information about them. Next paragraph. Isaiah told them when the God came, and he would come to do one thing. So then he would what? The one thing, and what is the one thing here? And here's the one thing he would do a lot of different ways and a lot of different times. One thing to suffer. So, what is to suffer? Suffer. This is the only answer. But why suffer? What's the reason? And what's the opportunity? And what's the purpose of it? Then suffering means he would feel pain and hurt. So feel pain and hurt. Then people will be mean to him. So people mean to him. Why people to be mean to the Jesus? That is the kind of mystery. Then God wasn't come to be how special He was Lord. He made it so everyone knows the more proper than anyone else. Then next, in fact, in fact, it's an actual thing. Isaiah told God's people that when God came, there was no acceptance. People not accept. So people were stubborn, did not accept God. Oh, God? Oh, that is not a real one. Or I do not believe that. Then God had already told Isaiah was going to happen. So Isaiah predicted did not accept. But God knew that most people were not going to like who would suffer. So don't like. The Savior, Jesus Christ, must be a lovely person. We should love him very much. However, Isaiah prophet told people the very precious Jesus will come, but you don't accept, you don't like. Why? What kind of person is he? If he is lovely and God, we should love him very much. However, why don't we? That is a big mistake. The big mystery, the answer will be this one, sin. Because we have sinned, we cannot figure out what the beauty is. Usually, the beauty is in Christianity is the true love. But, if I sin, wrong love. That is the often the pattern that happens. Okay, now let's go to next page, 141. The first paragraph. Except God has made them a promise, and God knew how to keep it. God had promised that He would send someone who would crush in the head of a snake. Snake in this case is Satan. Satan. Good promise. God's promise is to send people a Savior, to Jesus Christ. But in the book, that's not the name of the Christ. That's what we understand that will be the Christ. Then that will be suffering. Then someone who could take his people, have heart and love and hear, and obey him again. So after the Christ, he will love Benjamin. Well, remember how we talked about the sacrifice, how the poor, spotless lamb. That is the case, a pure, spotless lamb, the flawless lamb. That is the another word of Jesus Christ. Okay? then had to be sacrificed to make up for the people's sin. So the people have sinned, but who could make it? Usually, some defect have itself, and the same person has to make up. But in this case, Jesus, the spotless Lamb, will make it. When that happens, the Lamb suffers and the lamb suffered pain. Just like the lamb suffers, God would have to suffer in the Lord's source of grace. He would have to wait to keep his promise and be able to make the promise with soft hearts that will connect to his again. So, if the Jesus suffered the same pain that God has, if the sacrifice as Jesus Christ, that is the same sacrifice of the God Himself. Next paragraph. But Isaiah didn't tell them that God would suffer. Oh, didn't say that. Isaiah also told them that God would be victorious. Why victorious? Over suffering. So suffering, in this case, same meaning of the victorious. This is not usual. Usually, victorious means the kind of to be winning and be a king or the front, then they govern the other people. But this is not one. Because of the God's love, to suffer is victorious. Like parents will suffer that is victorious to raise a kid. That would be that God would win. That God would make it that is like all the sins was gone forever. So, if the people make up something, the sin will come up again. However, because God made up, then the sins have gone forever. Nothing. Then this was amazing news, but people didn't understand Isaiah because their hearts were still hard and because of God's command. The people in this Old Testament area very stubborn and hard-minded, so very difficult to believe people, believe hate, believe mind, believe love. Never, never. That is the reason they cannot understand Isaiah. And Isaiah wanted people to understand the newcomer of the Jesus Christ will come and God's love will suffer. However, not. Then because their hearts are stubborn and because God of yes, then listen to Isaiah and continue to wishing for the God's to and what they thought and would be the best. Which was to send the powerful king who would make their lives and safer and easier. This powerful king is a kind of the ideal. Okay? So, yeah. How the people fight very hard and never understand. So, that is that to conclude. Lesson 4. Today we don't have prophets like Isaiah who tells news from God. Instead, we have Bible. Of course, in the Old Testament age, there is no New Testament. Then, prophet has come, has been different, because all the people know because prophets speak. But in this era, we do not need a prophet at all because we have Bibles and internet and all the translation and we can learn any language in the world. So the Bible. In this Bible, we can know what God wants us to do. But sometimes we don't believe the Bible, just like the God's people didn't believe Isaiah. So we know the people in Isaiah yell, oh, that's the naughty boys. We shouldn't be like that, then we believe. However, we sometimes feel like the people like that. Then that's why it's important that you're learning these stories. In the whole Bible shows God keeps His promises. And those promises are possible because God came to suffer. Also, we can be free from punishment of sin and instead have heard that God loves. So, punishment or have heard that God loves. That's radical. So, either one is better, is easier. So that is all for this lesson. Because this is very beginning, that is the building we should understand the very basic science and basic words and basic intuitions and the idea we have in the question. Alright, these four questions are your homework assignments, so you should think of this. What do you think of the God? Okay? So, do not think only as we are the people, but also we should think if we were the God, if we were in that place, then how do we think of it? Is this by people? Okay? Then the last thing is a punishment or has our hands for that. Okay, that's all for today and see you next week.